Hello everybody, my name is King Lion 3040 and today I want to welcome you to the first part of actual gameplay in my Imperator Rome Let's Play. We will continue where we started off last time. Yeah, we basically did nothing so far besides of checking out every tab, setting us up and preparing. So in fact, what I want to do now is start very simply by figuring out who we have casus belli against. Okay, we only have a casus belli against Etruria, but we cannot use that because we are in peace. So we're just gonna keep time rolling for a time and prepare. Now, I don't quite understand why Marcus Claudius Corvus is illoyal, because he wasn't illoyal when we stopped, but I mention it maybe because sometimes when you start a game it actually makes you kinda go weird. So yeah, I'll just check at month's beginning whether there is something to look out for or not. The Romano-Sabine Void. He speaks of the long fight with the Sabines. Every Roman knows as the abduction of the Sabine woman by our stalwart predecessors, the marriages in their gambit to avoid war between their fathers and husbands. But do they know that the Sabines colluded with the Samnites in our recent wars? The time has come to finish what was started and absorb the Sabines completely. Sabinia will be erased from history. We can claim on their territory, and, well, that was opinion and this guy gains popularity. This would make us lose stuff and make them happy, which I don't care for. Die. Now let us just wait on 451. I don't understand. Why is he unhappy? Let us check that out. So, his loyalty is based upon power base in the country and very little modifiers. Okay, so I guess his power base just jumped up like crazy because he's the head of the family and is like in a big governmentship. Okay. Yeah, I think he actually has a bigger governorship than we do right now. That's very weird. Anyway. Yeah, a very distinct line. So, when you have this problem of people being illoyal, you can do a few things. First of all, if they are your rivals, you can assassinate them, but this is only with a certain percentage. It is not certain that you will definitely be able to kill them. You could end up losing health yourself by the failed attempts, or either because they hurt you or because they made something happen. Could make them friends, but that doesn't actually increase the loyalty, it just gives us some other options. Now, he isn't corrupt, so giving him a trial will not be working. It only has a success chance of 1% because of his power base of 63. Which I think is actually bigger than our own. Yeah, we're only at 16. That's crazy. Okay. So, the easiest idea would be to bribe him. Pay a little bit of influence to give him some money and some corruption, as well as 15 loyalty for 48 months, which will be just fine. So actually 4 years. Or we could give him free hands, but free hands gives him a load more of corruption because of his monthly corruption gain. He will gain 0.1 corruption per month, basically, yes. He will actually gain 0.1 corruption per month, which is not great because the more corrupt they are, the more loyalty you lose in these provinces, and you want to keep their loyalty as high as possible, because otherwise they're gonna rebel. at some point and you can't build shit anymore. They won't grant you any gold. So what you're gonna do here is actually bribe them, which will solve that issue. And we do have a decent amount of political influence because we will not be needing to use it for a good time, because most of this will actually be takeable without using political influence to actually... Where is it? Fabricate a claim. Because it costs 20. I mean, of course you wouldn't want to do it against Econo, because Econo, as you were able to see here, actually, no it doesn't. That's weird. Normally they're actually allied up with them. Or maybe they get gobbled up very shortly. We'll see what happens. Anyway, we have a war target now, ladies and gentlemen. We can prepare for war. Because the Samnites here, which are allied up with the Lucanium. The Lucani. Yeah, Lucania and Semnium are allied up with each other. Potentially even worth attacking them. No. Okay, ignore what I said. Technically we should have claims against them, but we don't. I think the problem is you need to wait this month. Yeah. Italian destiny. Quintus Marcius Philippius calls for silence in the Curia. Roma has prospered by placing her interests first, and the gods have shown their love for her. We are poised to rule all Italia. Our petty disputes can be put aside and our strength rallied to the cause. If she only had the courage to seize the moment, everlasting glory and honor would be the least of her rewards. We can also make the claim for fabrication faster, which is always useful. Or we can make the claim fabrication cheaper. Both works fine. I'm not quite sure which one I want to take. I guess the cost is useful, but the speed is always the best option here, I believe, personally. I mean, that really depends what you want to do. Anyway, so this is a very interesting tool. It's the the so-called macro builder, which basically allows you quick access to anything you want to build. Say you wanted to build something in Rome, you could just click on here and click on the city you wanted to build it. Or you could even go through here. It's fun, but your decision whether you want to do that. Or you can just go through the city itself, tap on the possible buildings menu, and just choose whatever you want to build here. That works too. Now, as we begin with Rome, something very important happens. Which is basically, you want to build ports. You want to upgrade all of your ports as high as possible. Starting with actually the port of Ostia. Right. Because the higher your port tier is, the faster the ship gets produced and the higher tier ships get unlocked. So with the time being, right now, if you go to the shipbuilding area, you can't build any of these ships. Those will unlock with a level 3 or 4 port, and I believe these will unlock with a level 6 or higher port, plus some technology done. So these are good, but having some of those in there will definitely help against Carthage, because Carthage, as it is, will always be pushing out a certain type of ships, which is mostly these two. They don't have many of those available. So it is worth it to upgrade your ports straight out from the very beginning of the game, just to get the T3s and Hexiers out and going, because they will be better against anything below them. Whereas those are basically the same and will just be weak against anything higher. So if you go with like 50 Liburnians against 45 Trimares, normally that 5 ship difference would make a difference in win or lose, but in this case the Trimares would win because they have a 50% damage boost versus Liburnians, and so on and so forth. Basically, mega polymers are the best ones, but to get them it's really expensive and really hard, and they're slow, so it's hard to catch the enemy fleets. Anyway, the deceitful Umbrians. Yeah, there we go. We gotta get some claims on the Umbrians. Right. Let's go. We're gonna make this a little bit faster, but first of all, let me look at the map modes here. So, we have several map modes available, not only those. So we have Atlas map mode, which, as it is pretty decent, and it does show you some more Atlas type of map. You scroll out, it looks much different. Then we have the political map mode, which shows the color of the nation as a more predestined color and more of a heavy color in this case, which is the mode I will usually play in because it's like the best way to play and be able to see what you're doing. So there's a culture map mode, which shows you which kind of cultures are all over the place and which kind of culture group they are. Like, there, yes. Let us look at this example. Let us look at the example Bovianum. The dominant culture is Sibelian, the culture group is Italic, and there's an information you will show on any map mode if you go on it, the fortifications level. Again, here there's fortification, which creates a zone of control in the adjacent provinces, meaning all of this. Means if you had war with those two parties, having this in the system, you would not be able, I mean, besides the fact that this is already there, but that is for us, that's the enemy territory here, you would not be able to move through there. You will see that in a few minutes when we start the actual war. Another thing is the religion and holy site map mode, which is pretty nice. You can see where each religion is spread, and later on you will see how they change as well, because with time your religion will spread everywhere. Like the very early on conquered territories over here in the what is it, Umbria, in Umbria, these territories, which will start out with being Druidic. This is, if you click on a certain settlement, it will show you the color of the culture or religion here highlighted. We have Druidic settlements here, so it will show them as highlighted, versus if you would go any settlement here, it would show all the Hellenic settlements highlighted. You click up away, you will see everything nice and clear again. So this will all slowly become Hellenic as the pops get converted in your religion, which is something you want, because if your pops are not in your religion, they will become a certain bit unhappier than if pops will be in your religion. Like, with time you will have a modifier on them which will basically turn them into Hellenic Romans, but it will be very slow. So during the time where they still convert, you will be, my apologies, you will be unable to have 100% happiness. Now, let's follow on. The trade map mode is really hard to look at sometimes, but let me explain you. For example, here, you see each province, each little bit here has a specific resource which you can build, which you can take. Generally, normal resources which aren't like iron or stuff over here, marble or base metals, or what is the other one called again? Where is it? Precious metals, there it is. Things like that you need to actually build a mine to extract them. Any of the other resources will start to be extracted instantly normal. but you want to add something like, not barracks here in this case, that's actually bad, but we can change that later when we actually have money. Here, slave estate, or farming settlement, or provincial legislation. It's something which allows higher amount of population to land in this area and live in this area, in this rural area, because this is just a settlement, small one. You can upgrade those to cities or metropolises, but it's quite expensive and it takes quite a long time. Anyway, so these are based on the population of slaves. Each 15 slaves will gain +1 grain. So if you, out of whatever reason, have 15 slaves, you gain 2 grain out of this province. If you have 30 slaves, you will gain a total of 3 grain out of this region. That's something for later, when you start having more like income and more income of slaves through war, because war is the only way to get slaves. They will start piling up here, and when they reach the cap, let me just check. Let's say what the cap is. Like some of these tabs I haven't figured out myself yet, but I see. Okay. Yeah, you can have a maximum of 25 slaves in Rome right now. Which means, as it is, if you have 25 slaves, out of whatever reason, they will start earlier than that already, but latest at that point they will start actually immigrating over to other provinces in the whole of the province of Latium. So other settlements here. For example, Regale. And they will start boosting production there. It's pretty simple. Anyway, a few more things. The provinces map mode is basically showing these individual provinces. Let me explain it different. You have a settlement, then you have the capital city, which is the biggest one in the province. Then that whole thing, like normally 5 to 7 settlements are one province, and then usually 3 to 5 provinces will be one region, which requires a government. These are all these little provinces, first of all. The supply is not that important in this case, it's more important for later when you go to war and you wanna make sure you have a certain amount of supply in the province. Here, for example, Ilia will have a supply limit of 28, meaning you can have a total of 14,000 men stationed here. It's 14,000 men, each pop is 2. Each pop is 2 supply, meaning it's a total of 28 supply. You will have a certain amount of stocked supply. When that supply runs out, you need to find a place where the supply limit is higher than the consummation limit of your army, so they don't start slowly dying out. Anyway, the Fortifications Map Mode is... I don't see the use in that, but I guess it's one way to check if there's a fortification somewhere if you don't see it on the map, but you will instantly see it if there's like a little castle or fortification level here. It's clear that this has fortification and walls. And the Barbarian Map Mode is something very simple. It shows you pirate enclaves, havens. Meaning from here it's very likely that there will be pirates spawning. You can exterminate these, but it will in some way give you buffs on this settlement. I mean, we don't have a pirate haven here, of course, but I believe you can check this one because it's allied. I'm not quite sure there. Oh yeah. Yeah, here. There it is. Pirate haven. Local tax plus 20%. Local population growth plus 0.01. and a pirate naval base. Basically a rich type of scum and villainy. This is until the end of the game, unless you remove it. There is a way to remove it, which is basically put a legion on it and leave it there for a good month on a certain assignment, and it will take it out. Not so important, because usually these pirate fleets are just the Mercenary Fleet stationed. If you look at it, there's this Anichi's Pirates is a mercenary fleet. You can hire them, or they will sometimes randomly, sometimes not randomly, move out and attack your port cities and take some gold with you, from you. But the Barbarian Map Mode is basically mostly important for these little badges here. Each of these unpassable terrain, sometimes more, sometimes less, will have a chance to have barbarians live there and attack your cities every now and then. If a barbarian attacks the city, you will lose civilization level, and you will lose the little bit of pops to slavery and some gold. If your legions defeat a barbaric horde which has been ravaging your territories for a while, you will get a lot of gold back, more than you actually lost. But you don't want to do that, because if it's in a bad position, it may just take them all and put all the civilization level down like 2 levels. The easiest way I found to deal with this is, if you have a legion, just put a cohort down here, put it on the fan territory, it will stay somewhere in this area, and whenever a barbarian horde spawns, it will just march in, smack them, and you're good. Now, this basically means there's a barbarian power of 0.3 in here, which means there's a pretty high population here in this stronghold, barbarian stronghold. So the surrounding tribesmen in cities count for the total count of barbarians which will rise against you, which is this. There will be a total of 18 cohorts due to 25 tribesmen in the adjacent territories, which means all of this in the area counts for it, and 5 cohorts due to 47 total population in the area around you. Which means there's a base chance of barbarians showing up, which will grow depending on the amount of civilization you have, and on depending whether they just spawned an army or whether they haven't spawned an army in a while. It will get higher and higher and higher until it actually spawns, and then it resets and starts at 0. Pretty simple. I believe me one thing, barbarians are annoying. You want to deal with them. Possible, like, before they can even take their first turn in your territory, basically, like taking out their first city or something. You want to try and deal with them before that. Of course, you can't always do that, but if you can, do it. Seriously, it'll help. Now, one last map mode to show you here, which is the region map mode. Each region requires a governor. Magna Gracie, for example, has Marcus Claudius Corvus, and Italia always has a present ruler. Then there's more, like each time you take a single territory, like this settlement of Biran, if you would take everything here, including Biran, and then up here along this border, you would have to have a extra governor for this single settlement. It's not that good, honestly. You wanna like always try and get a few settlements, or better the whole province, because otherwise the settlement will be always unhappy. There is no counter to unhappiness there, because there is no city which will make them happy. That's just for the side. You will see that as we start taking territories now. Anyway, let's go back to the political map mode and get on here. The Mind of Rome. Quintus, broad son of the noble Marcius, speaks in the Curia Hostilia. His tales of our ancestors' great victories exhort the sender to match their achievements before. With twinkling eye, he delivers a heartfelt appeal to ensure our enemies never be given an opportunity to threaten the sacred republic of our ancestors, to ecstatic applause and much trashing of togas. Basically, he gives them a roaring speech, and they all go, yoo-hoo! Rousing orator, moral of armies. He gains popularity, and we gain 10 approval of the populars. Okay. And distributes copies of the speech, gives us national manpower plus 5% for 120 months. I would rather take the moral than the manpower, because manpower will be fine for a while. Anyway, we can, I think, can we start? Let me just check. This is gonna run for another good half year-ish. So let us speed it up, wait on it to finish, because at the end we will gain claims on all of these people, and then we can go to war. For now, what we want to do is just hold and go afterwards. So, another event, the jealousy of the Samnites. It's their time now. Yep, gains claims on their territories. Yep, 7 years days are numbered, actually. Did I confuse something here, or? Oh, I understand. Yeah, I confused two things here. My apologies. So, let us look at the surrounding territories. So, they are allied up with Etruria. That's not good. Most of them. They are allied with Picania, and in a pretty decent position with Picentia and Sabinia. Now, this is a very interesting one. We have a reason to go to war with Umbria, as well as Sabinia. Now, if you would attack Sabinia, we would draw in Etruria, Picentia, and Umbria. If you would attack Umbria in return there, you would just draw in Picentia and Sabinia. It is much better if you take them, because you don't want to go against Etruria early on, because they will be better than you. Or to say it better, they won't be better than you, but they will have a similar amount of power than you do at this point. So you want to make sure, as early as possible, don't go against Etruria until you have at least 500-ish pops, which is also easy to get, because there's a lot of pops in some of these settlements. Anyway, without further ado, let's go and go to war. Now, levies, just raise them. You can declare war with raised levies, which is something interesting to look at. Now, if you look at this, it's a 16,000 man army. So you see the cohorts and the weights of 31. The supply limit in Rome here, thankfully, is 71, so there will never be any shortage. Now, you want to make sure you halve them, because most of this stuff up here is like at 20, if anything. Most of it is actually at 10. Some 24, some 20s, some 80s. You want to make sure they at least halve that, because otherwise you're gonna run into attrition very, very early. And what can a 60k stack do against like several 4k stacks, which all go in different directions? You also want to split it up and go in two directions and corner them somewhere. So most of the stuff is locked right now, because we just can't do anything about it. We can create new unit, which is basically split of 1/500. What is it called? I think it's subunit. Yeah, each subunit is 500 strengths. So you want to make sure, if possible, if you want to create a new unit, you will have to manually assign subunits. You can do it easier by just saying split in half. Simple. So consolidated cohort is something for later. You cannot disband it. You can't disband conscripts, you can only spend legions, and if you wanted to spend a legion, you will have some penalties which go with it, which is basically you need to deal with a lot of manpower coming back, you need to settle them all, and stuff like that, which is actually implemented, which is cool. I mean, I would never just get rid of a legion because not a good idea. It costs a lot of money to build one, and at some point you definitely want that money come back. The detached siege and stuff, we aren't sieging, we don't want to detach the support units. And all this other stuff is for later because we don't have it unlocked yet. Build road, drill army, force march, embark. If we go to Austria, we could embark it, and then on this fleet move it over to here, for example. Pretty easy. We will see that later. The rest, this one, you don't want to click that on Rome because you don't want to fuck your own population up, basically. It's not a good idea. Anyway, root out pirate is what I said. You need to have the Lex Claudia law enabled, and then you would go and be able to remove this pirate haven off the province symbol. Right now we can't because with our current laws, we would have to get this law, which is basically an anti-pirate law, which is historically the law which Caesar enacted during his legislation period before he became a dictator, as he was fighting the pirates which had captured him when he was younger. And with this law in his hand, he basically went out and burned every pirate cove in the whole Mediterranean Sea down, which ended in this being a very, very good trade hub without needing to worry too much about anything. What is this? Is that a crater? Oh, that's a volcano. Interesting. Is there really a volcano there? Anyway. Leave a comment if you know. Split in half. It's the easiest way. So I've done this one a few times, so I know a little bit about where to possibly start first. So you want to definitely have the stronger army go up, which is the 8.5. I hope. I just selected that, yes. 8.5 goes up towards this because there's a fortification on there. You want to get rid of this fortification early on because that's blocking your way down to here, over here and over here.